Good morning. I'm Sarah Yerkes, and as ICC's Senior Vice President of Government Relations and also as the District Office Manager for ICC's headquarters here in Washington, D.C., it is my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. ICC is a nonprofit association with approximately 50,000 members representing every sector of the building and fire communities, including code officials, engineers, architects, labor organizations, building owners and managers, and many others who work to provide safe and sustainable construction in this country through the development of codes and standards for design, build, and compliance process. We're excited about this event today and feel very fortunate to have such a beautiful office space here in this building in our nation's capital, surrounded by cranes. It's a vital city, vibrant, and what a better place to come and talk about building and fire safety today. With that, I'm very happy to introduce to you our first speaker, Robbie Sabakan. Robbie currently serves as Deputy Chief of DCRA's Permitting Operations Division, overseeing the day-to-day functions of technical plan review and the Permit Center. Robbie has over 15 years in the construction in both codes compliance and management, including 12 years in the city of Richmond, Virginia, where he developed and oversaw a special inspections of critical structures program. Robbie holds a BS in architecture from the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. Robbie?
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everyone. This is beautiful. My name is Robbie Sabakan. Rabia is the full name. I am the Chief Building Official for the District of Columbia, our local government. Let me give you an idea of our mission here in the district. Our task at DCRA is to ensure the health, life safety, welfare, and now sustainability of all its citizens and visitors. DCRA, like other building departments across the country, utilizes building codes as the primary tool to carry out this vital mission. Clear, up-to-date, and enforceable codes are paramount to what we do. One only needs to look not just downtown, but in every quadrant of the city to see all the flourishing development that we have. Thus, it is critical that we have codes and a permit process that is conducive to all the development that is occurring. This is why DC has embarked upon the arduous task of code development for the adoption of the 2012 I-codes with local amendments, as well as just recently establishing a local DC chapter of ICC for all of our local code officials, designers, inspectors, and plans examiners. So we're quite busy. As you may know, here in the District of Columbia, we function as a city, a county, and a state. In terms of construction codes, once we adopt new codes, they become effective almost immediately, although we provide a one-year transitory period. And a very important date, February 2nd of this year, Mayor Vincent Gray announced that the district was moving to adopt the 2012 ICC codes. Our goal is to have the new codes sent to Council of the District of Columbia for its review and approval by March 1st, 2013. So we're moving very aggressively to accomplish that goal. The district currently uses the 2006 ICC codes. In making the decision to leapfrog to the 2012 ICC codes instead of adopting the 2009, Mayor Gray sought to ensure that the district continues to be a national leader in requiring most of the modern and sustainable building practices. The adoption of the new construction codes in conjunction with the district's Green Building Act of 2006 will keep the district at the cutting edge of green practices. For those of you unfamiliar with the Green Building Act, it requires all public and publicly financed buildings to be LEED Silver and requires all non-residential buildings of 50,000 square feet or more to be LEED certified at minimum. These forward-thinking policies are why the district has some of the nation's highest rates of LEED certified buildings and is seen as a leader in sustainable construction. That's the trend that we're moving towards. While many other jurisdictions are now just getting their feet wet in the wave of current oncoming green building practices, the district is establishing high-performance green and energy codes to embrace the landscape of full rooftops of urban rooftop gardens, cool roofs, and photovoltaic panels on new and existing buildings. And we've got to be prepared for all of the LEED Platinum schools under construction here in the district and under design, and hopefully the first examples of LEED Platinum houses, just to give you an idea of the work that we've got before us. The 2012 I-codes are currently being reviewed by the District Construction Codes Coordinating Board through meetings that are open to the public. The board and its subcommittees have been meeting almost weekly to review each of the ICC codes, including the International Green Construction Codes, IGCC, and the new International Swimming Pool and Spa Code. Once the board has finished its review of the 2012 ICC codes and drafted its code amendments, they will be published for public comments in the DC Register as proposed regulations. Our goal is to have the 2012 ICC codes adopted by the district in the spring of 2013. The new construction codes would then become mandatory for all construction by spring of 2014. Let me just note that ICC has been a tremendous help in all of our endeavors for both the DCRA and the fire department. I'd like to personally thank the ICC, Sarah, Justin Wiley, and CEO Rick Weiland for all the assistance it's offered us as we've started the 2012 ICC codes adoption process. ICC really provides an extraordinary public service, and we greatly appreciate their efforts. Without their assistance and guidance, we wouldn't be able to move as aggressively as we have been in adoption of the new codes, and we thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. Now it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mark Light. Mark is the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director of the International Association of Fire Chiefs. He's also Chief Executive Officer of Emergency Services Consulting International, ESCI, a for-profit subsidiary of the IFC. IFC is located in Fairfax, Virginia, and represents over 11,000 fire chiefs, chief officers, and fire service leaders. He's responsible for the overall management and leadership in conjunction with an 18-member board of directors of a nonprofit organization with a budget of approximately $15 million and a staff of 75 people. It is my pleasure to introduce Mark, a colleague and someone who we work very closely here in DC.
Thank you. On behalf of the International Association of Fire Chiefs, we're pleased to be here today in support of this coalition. It's great to have the leadership of the two national code associations, organizations, to come together for this momentous day. We congratulate Jim Shannon and Rick Whalen for having the foresight and the leadership to step forward and say that model codes are important. At the International Association of Fire Chiefs, we support and are actively participants in both the NFPA code process and the ICC code process. And we continue to hear of situations across the country where people are picking and choosing the pieces of the code that they want to implement. And so we fully support adoption of the model codes because it's made by people that are out there doing this day in and day out, and they're model codes for that one reason, is that they exemplify the best practices in all aspects of what firefighters do on a day-to-day basis. I think that if you put it in context, if you think 3 years ago, how did you use your iPad? And you realize that iPads probably weren't even something that you had in your vernacular then. And now it's something that you use day in and day out. And codes are the same way. Regardless of the code adoption process, if people are using codes that were created in 2006, that's a long time. That's 6 years ago. And think of the technology changes that can make a difference in building safety. And when we think about building safety, it's really about protecting the citizens, and it's protecting firefighters that have to go in and mitigate those circumstances that occur as a result of fire in the built environment. So we fully support this coalition. We stand ready to work with both organizations to move model codes forward, and we'll do whatever we can to make sure that organizations understand and localities understand the importance of adoption of the model code. Thanks to both organizations for your leadership in this. Thanks.
Our next speaker is Guy Tomberlin. Guy is also a member of our board of directors. Guy is a certified building official and has been active in code enforcement since 1985. He has served Fairfax in many capacities, including residential and commercial inspector, commercial mechanical inspection supervisor, and chief plumbing engineer. He develops and delivers training programs related to plumbing, mechanical, and fuel gas codes. Tomerlin has served on numerous committees and is a past president of the Virginia Building and Code Officials Association, the Virginia Plumbing and Mechanical Inspectors Association, and Region 7 chapters of the International Code Council. Guy?
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning. I am Guy Tomerlin. As Sarah said, I am on the Icc Board of Directors, and I'm a local code official just across the river in Fairfax County, Virginia. On behalf of the Icc Board, I welcome you here, and I'd like to take this opportunity to commend the staffs of both Icc and NFPA for their tremendous work together to get us to this point. This initiative is good for our membership, and it's even more important to the communities that they serve. I have the honor of serving as both a local code official and a member of the Board of Directors, and having both of these perspectives gives me a clear understanding of just how important this initiative really is. What begins here today at a national level will have a real effect and impact at the local level. The initiative will help the community professionals who actually design, construct, inspect, and maintain buildings where we live, work, and play, and it will ensure that we have the most up-to-date tools that we need to do our jobs effectively and efficiently. We look forward to a sustained effort going forward that will enable us to do even more to support our members in their building safety efforts. I'm honored to be here today and proud to be here today with all of you, and thanks for coming.
So we're getting close to the part of the program that brought you all here today. It is my pleasure now to introduce to you James Shannon, NFPA's President and Chief Executive Officer. Jim has been president of NFPA since 2002. A former NFPA Senior Vice President and General Counsel, Mr. Shannon has launched several key NFPA initiatives, including establishing the Fire Sprinkler Initiative, establishing the Coalition for Fire Safe Cigarettes, testifying before Congress to advocate for enhancing safety and homeland security resources for firefighters, convening an emergency NFPA technical committee meeting to review safety issues in public assembly buildings following the Station nightclub fire in Rhode Island. And those deliberations led to important amendments to several NFPA codes like NFPA 101, Life Safety Code, NFPA 5000, the Building Construction and Safety Code. Jim?
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. And let me, first of all, thank all of our colleagues from the ICC for your hospitality here today and for the role that you've played in organizing this coalition. I want to say it's, I think this is not only an important event, but a vital event for all of us and for the citizens of the United States, because I think safety is something that people take too much for granted. And economic progress that comes from development is something that people sometimes take for granted. And Rick and I were talking about, as we look out on this, from this rooftop, at the way the District of Columbia has changed since we first came here to work over there 3 decades ago. It's really a wonderful story of economic development. The economy depends upon it, and the safety of the citizenry depends upon it being done right. And I think it's important that we come together because that system of safety of which we've all been a part for such a long period of time is under threat these days. You know, most people, they don't know about codes. Even most people who are in state legislatures and city halls don't know that much about codes. They know that organizations, private organizations, develop them. We serve up the model codes. They're adopted into law, and they do a pretty good job of protecting public safety. And they've kind of taken this system for granted. And I call it the original public-private partnership. You know, private organizations have taken on the responsibility of bringing together the expertise to ensure that the most advanced, best organized codes are available to the public. And the job that we do is more important today than ever before because technology is changing so quickly. The design of buildings is changing so quickly. The needs are changing every single year. And it is through processes like NFPAs and ICCs that we've seen tremendous increases in the results that we get as we develop safety codes. You know, I'm delighted to see so many leaders from the fire service here today. Mark Light, the other leaders from the fire service, they know the statistics. You know, 30 years ago, we were losing 7,000 or 8,000 people a year in fires in the United States, most of them in homes. That number's come down to 3,000. It's a lot of progress. It's not enough, but it's a lot of progress. That didn't happen by accident. It happened because a lot of people worked very, very hard and worked together in the system that existed to ensure that it happened. And an essential part of that system is making sure that we have the best possible codes and standards available to protect the public. But we can write the best codes in the world. And if they're not adopted, and if they're not enforced, and if they're not followed by industry, it isn't going to make any difference. And that's where the threat comes in today, because many communities are faced with the dire economic circumstances that we all know exist, are looking at codes and saying, you know, do we really need them? Do we really need to revise them as frequently as we have? How important are they? And I think we also know that special interests love opportunities like that. Somebody who has an interest in not seeing those advances can step in and say, you know, we don't have to do that this time. There aren't that many changes in the code this time around. So we can skip a cycle. And we're beginning to see that happen across the country. And I think that would be a disastrous thing for the people of America if we were to allow that to happen. So that's what this coalition is all about. It's about telling our story, telling people and telling the public and telling the opinion leaders about the importance of the work that we all do together, pointing to the results that we have achieved and ensuring that we continue to make the kind of progress that has moved the country so far forward over these last decades. Because, you know, it isn't a question of just freezing the situation that we have here today. If we don't keep up with technology, if we don't keep up with the code revisions, if we don't keep up with the support for organizations like NFPA and Icc, if we don't continue to train enforcement officials and fund their activities, you're going to see those numbers of deaths and injuries that come from unsafe environments begin to go up again. And that's what we want to avoid. So I am very, very pleased to be here today. I want to thank Rick for his leadership in this. I think that the combination of NFPA and Icc and all of the groups that are represented here and the terrific governmental officials who are represented here can really get that message out, and we can really defend a system that has served the public well in this country for over 100 years. Thank you very much.
I'm listening to the noise from the construction site. I mean, that's perfect, isn't it? It's just what we needed. And before I introduce the next and last speaker on the agenda, I want to say, you know, how fortunate I feel to have an office here in the nation's capital where we represent the interests of our members across the country, and we work with Congress and with all your organizations here, all of you here today. And it's a real great privilege to represent our members here in the nation's capital. The next speaker is none other than my CEO, Richard P. Weiland. Rick has been a senior executive at the International Code Council for the past 9 years, serving first as Chief Operating Officer and for the last 6 years as Chief Executive Officer. The Code Council is a professional association, as I said earlier, of about 50,000 members, many of whom are public servants in state and local government, with responsibility for community development, building, and fire safety. Rick manages a staff of approximately 300 professionals and is responsible for code development, adoption, compliance efforts, training, evaluation services, accreditation services, and everything else ICC does. During his tenure, the Code Council has seen a growth in membership, an increased profile within the community of nonprofit organizations, and increased stature in areas ranging from sustainability to disaster support to general public safety issues. It is an honor to introduce Rick.
Thanks, Sarah. Well, I don't really want to start off by quoting the Vice President, but I think I will. This is a big deal, Jim. This is a really big deal. And I want to thank you and everyone here for coming today to participate in this event. This has been the culmination of a lot of hard work in discussing for months ways that NFPA and ICC could work more closely together. Obviously, we have some overlapping and sometimes competing priorities, but we also share the same ultimate goal of furthering public health and safety. And that's why we decided to come together today to launch this coalition. And this coalition is not about any one code or any set of codes or any set of standards. It's a lot bigger than that. It's about a system, as Jim talked about so eloquently, that we've built in this country that has allowed us to live in the safest communities in the world. The system is complex, it's immense, but it's been incredibly successful. It starts with the development of standards and codes that are built upon a foundation of technical expertise and developed through an open and transparent to consensus process that involves the public sector, the private sector, governments at all levels, and the nonprofit organizations, of which are so many represented here today. Many people who participate in this process volunteer their time, their energy, their time away from their family, from their jobs, all of their expertise to the benefit of the public and the taxpayer because of their passion for public health and safety. Those uniform and consistent codes and standards are then published by standard developing organizations and adopted into state statutes at the federal and local level. Then it's up to the community of architects and developers and builders and construction workers and code officials, homeowners and employers to meet those standards. How big is that community? It's big. Just look around. It's an enormous turnout today. We have a number of people here. It's a testament to what we're trying to launch with this coalition. United States Fire Marshal, Fire Administrator Ernie Mitchell's here today, and I talked to Ernie earlier. There he is right in front of me. Joe Battia's here, President and CEO of the American National Standards Institute. Joe, thanks for being here. Julie Rochman is here, the CEO of the Institute for Business and Home Safety. Julie, there you are. Henry Green, President of the National Institute of Building Sciences. Did Henry make it? I didn't see him earlier. He had RSVP'd, yes. Bill Weber's here, the CEO of the Association of Pool and Spa Professionals. The DC Fire Chief Kenneth Elberby is here. DC Fire Marshal Bruce Faust is here. Rich Duffy with the International Association of Firefighters. Rich, where are you? There you are. Councilman Joe Woods from Hartford County, Maryland, behind me here. I also want to introduce Rich Truitt, who came over from Maryland, one of our board members. And Dane Hansen with IAPMO. Is Dane here? There he is in the back. I also want to give a special acknowledgement to Nathan Queen with the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters and Gary Engelbert with DCRA, who helped us organize this event. There are a lot of folks that aren't here as well. They just couldn't be here because of schedules. But it's clear that collectively we have really created something in this country to be proud of. And it will be our collective efforts going forward that we continue to improve and advance the mission of public safety. The end result of our work is an engine of economic growth and development that provides our nation with safe, secure, and sustainable infrastructure. So today we're kicking off an effort to do an even better job of communicating this message to the broader public, knowing that every building not built to the most current codes and standards is really a missed opportunity to advance public health and safety. I'm very pleased to join my colleague and my friend, Jim Shannon, and we're honored by the attendance of so many critical organizations as we embark on this journey together. The Coalition for Current Safety Codes, you're going to hear a lot more about it in the days and years to come. Thank you. You want to come up here? Great. Thank you very much.